everybody? Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Power Podcast review of the Great American Bash. That's right, the Bash is back. It's not just a WCW thing. It's not like, WWE would do a pay-per-view because, like NXT's doing Fyter Fest and they want a counter program or anything, would they? But anyway, who cares? The Great American Bash is back. That's right. It's the show that reminds us we're too cool for British rule. It's all about America. There's fireworks, there's patriotism, and there's wrestling. And it's, of course, Wildcat Parsons bringing you the Great American Bash, presented by WWE's NXT, which, let's just dive right into it. We start out the day one, because there's 2 days. We start out with Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai. Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. It's a fatal 4-way #1 contenders match for Io Shirai's women's title. It was solid. It did a good job of opening the show. Nothing really crazy at first. Candice LeRae got eliminated first. Then Mia Yim got eliminated after a Ohana roll. So we get our first roll-up of the night of the pay-per-view. Actually, though, it was a little sloppy at first. It was a little weird. The 4 women didn't seem to work well together. Granted, they also had to get the Candice LeRae Mia Yim feud kind of out of the way of the match so that we could find out who the actual #1 contender was going to be. And we get Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai. And it was just really, really brilliant after that. Dakota Kai was controlling most of it with her kicks. And then Tegan Nox, of course, hits her shiniest wizard and wins. And this sets up the potential of Tegan Nox versus Io Shirai later for probably their next pay-per-view for the NXT Championship. And granted, of course, that's if Shirai holds onto her belt later. She does have a championship match later in the night. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. Like I said, overall it was solid. It really, really got better when it was Nox and Kai in the ring together. And we continue that story of Kai being this close to being in the title scene, but something always holds her back. And I just like that there's this overarching storyline for her throughout. There's that narrative going on throughout. Which led us to Timothy Thatcher versus Oney Lorcan, and honestly, I would have preferred that this be the opening match. Oh my goodness, these two are the best technical workers, probably in the NXT roster, and it delivered. It was a clinic of technical wrestling early that turned brutal later, so I'm probably aging myself a little bit here. But think of those Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle matches that happened back in the early 2000s. That's a lot of what it felt like. It got really angry as frustration set in for both of them. Like, I can't get the upper hand, so I'm just going to have to start beating the absolute mess out of people and try to make this work. The storytelling was great. The brutality was great. The counters, the mat wrestling was great. You don't see enough of that anymore, and I really like it. Timothy Thatcher wins with the Fujiwara armbar, so we get a tap out, which is near and dear to my heart. I always love when a match ends with a tap out, because at that point it's clear who the better athlete was. We get a definitive win, and definitive wins are so rare in today's wrestling that I really enjoy when we get one. Then we get Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah and Robert Stone, and this was, to be fair, it was a good bathroom break. I like Rhea Ripley, I really do. I think she's one of the top 3 women in NXT. I was really disappointed that they took the belt off of her to give it to Charlotte. I really thought that she should have got that win over Charlotte at WrestleMania to push her stock higher, so that whenever somebody beat Rhea Ripley, it was going to be a much bigger deal. Like, I get that, Charlotte's got the last name and everything, but, I just think they could have went a different way with it. But this, oh man, this was terrible. Like, Robert Stone and Aaliyah were smart enough early in the match. Both of them were attacking her and they got the upper hand. But the very second that Ripley got the upper hand, it was over and done and finished. Ripley wins. She just feels so wasted in this. Like, she is so much more talented than dealing with this situation. Then, we get Dexter Loomis versus Roderick Strong. Continuing that storyline with the Undisputed Era, where Roderick Strong still apparently has PTSD from the trunk of the car dealing with Dexter Loomis. Yeah, just two great workers in NXT. It was a strap match, which, you know, throws back to the whole Dusty Rhodes Great American Bash kind of feel. You know, 80s WCW. And Dexter Loomis continues to be booked ridiculously strong, and I love it. I mean, Bobby Fish even interfered, and it didn't even help. Oh, it was everything you want in a strap match. There were big spots. They used the strap well. Strong played the chicken heel, tried to run away as best he could, involving a stretch. I mean, it was everything you really want. And Dexter Loomis wins by submission, so maybe he can keep working his way through the Undisputed Era. I mean, this is continuing his push towards the top of the card, and it was, like I said, it's everything you want in a strap match. And then we get Io Shirai versus Sasha Banks, and it was for the NXT Women's title. And my only complaint is Sasha and Bayley are on all three shows right now, and that tends to be a little frustrating here and there. But it was still a ridiculously good match. Shirai is probably the best in-ring worker on NXT. Sasha is probably the best female in-ring worker on SmackDown. So you have two of the three best on WWE's roster in a match, and it was money. I mean, it was probably the best women's match I've seen on WWE programming this year. So absolutely go watch it. I mean, they threw the dart, they got a distraction finish. It made sense because the whole Bayley Sasha thing, and we're building toward Bayley versus Sasha, so there's that storyline. Bayley tried to cheat and help Sasha, and Asuka showed up because her and Shirai were tag partners back in Japan, so we even have, you know, continuation. WWE acknowledged that somebody wrestled in another company before WWE. What other crazy are we going to get from 2020? I hadn't even thought about that until now. These are scary times. I would have loved for Shirai to get the clean victory, but I kind of like the fact that Sasha lost because Bayley interfered. And I really like that the storytelling and the psychology, because Asuka used the green mist, and they did a good job of covering the green mist after it was on her face. Like, the ref never saw it. So that was it was a really strong finish to the day one of their show. You know, Shirai holds on to her belt. So we're going to get Tegan Knox versus Shirai later down the road, and that's going to be good. That was the end of day one, and other than the Rhea Ripley stuff, day one was a really strong show, and I was just looking forward to what they come up with for day two, and day two delivered. We get Candice LeRae versus Mia Yim. It's a little weird to me how they were the weak part of the Fatal 4-Way to open up, and this match was a perfect opener. It had, I think their part in the Fatal 4-Way, like I said, it took away a little bit from the overall match, So these two being in a match themselves was it was great. It was a hardcore match, which fits the fact that they just wanted to kill each other over the past few weeks. I mean, there's a couple of small critiques that I have, but they're minor nitpicky. There's a food fight segment in catering, and that's been done to death in hardcore matches. And the recovery time from some of the big spots that they hit were a little quick video game to me, but that's really, really tiny nitpicks. I mean, there were chairs, there were fire extinguishers, there were brass knuckles, and it was just, like I said, it definitely delivered as part of the feud. It was a great opener to a show. It got the energy up. They were working at 100 miles an hour, and it was great. Candice LeRae wins after a top rope swinging net breaker onto chairs. Like I said, it was a fire opener today too. It was really, really good. And then we get Tony Nese versus Bronson Reed, and I'm like, okay, this looks good on paper. And it was showcasing two guys that have been really, really impressive of late to me. Bronson is such a good athlete for his size. Reminds me of Samoa Joe back in his TNA days. Like, that kind of movement in the ring. Just, hopefully he's not as injury prone as Joe. I love Samoa Joe, but he's fire on. That's the best part of the commentary on Raw, by the way, is Samoa Joe. But Reed is such a good athlete for his size, and the story of Nese struggling with that combination of size and athleticism was told very well in his match. I mean, every time that Nese he'd pull a dirty trick, or he used the ring apron, or every time he would build any sort of momentum, it would get snuffed by something that Reed would do. And yeah, Reed wins after even dirty tricks from Nese couldn't turn the tide. So, wasn't necessarily the best match, wasn't, high art or anything, but it was a really good story told between two good performers. Nothing wrong with it, just being solid. Then we get Swerve Scott versus Johnny Gargano, and I saw this on paper, and I'm like, oh my goodness, these are two of the best athletes that NXT has. Johnny Wrestling has been on fire since his heel turn, and there's even a bit of backstory here tying to the Mia Yim, Candice LeRae's story, because Swerve Scott came out to help Mia Yim when Gargano and Candice LeRae were beating her up. So there's even a little bit of storyline to it. Like I said, these two guys have been killing it of late, but it didn't feel like their best match. Don't get me wrong, it's still really good, but for the expectations I had coming in, it's not what I expected from these guys. Maybe who knows what it was? Maybe they were holding back a little bit. Maybe the chemistry was off. And it just felt like it wasn't their best effort. Like, it wasn't exactly what I expected from these guys. They started off really technical, which of course Johnny Wrestling had the advantage there. Then Swerve was able to speed everything up and get some offense in. And they exchanged a bunch of takedowns back and forth. And Gargano wins with the DDT. Nothing wrong with it, but it fell off. But luckily, these two guys, when they don't have their best, are still really, really good. It was, it might have been my expectations as well. But I'm excited to see what they do with these two down the road. That's going to be the interesting thing for me. Where's Gargano going next? Oh, okay. Legado del Fantasma versus Drake Maverick and Breezango. This was, for kind of a random grouping, Breezango and Drake Maverick haven't been together that long. And for something that kind of felt thrown together, it was very well booked. It kept Maverick and Escobar apart until the right moment. So that means Breezango. You know, Fandango, Tyler Breeze carried most of the weight for that team. And it was good. I mean, WWE does really good with these 6-man tags. It's like apparently their bread and butter. And my only real complaint is there were no stakes to it. Like, it felt like whoever won, whatever. Which is weird because it's a continued story from all the way back into this Cruiserweight tournament. You know, all the Drake Maverick stuff, and you can look into old videos and see what I think about all that. But it's just still that continued story to here, and, you know, it just felt like filler. Like, we need another match on the card, we gotta fill a few minutes. But it was entertaining filler, so I can't take too much away from it. Then we get an absolute last-minute addition. Santana Garrett versus Mercedes Martinez. We needed a 5-minute squash match on a pay-per-view to remind us that Mercedes Martinez is dangerous, because she hasn't been booked all that greatly up to this point. I just feel this would have been better on regular NXT programming. It was two spots that were nice bathroom breaks. One featuring Rhea Ripley on day one, and then one featuring Mercedes Martinez day two. Nothing to take away from them. Like I've said it earlier, I love Rhea Ripley. I'm interested to see where they go with Mercedes Martinez now that they kind of have an idea and a direction, which just feels kind of random. Then we get Adam Cole versus Keith Lee. Winner take all. Adam Cole is, of course, the NXT champion. Keith Lee is the North American champion. If you win, you get all the gold. And this match absolutely stole the show. A long time I've been told Adam Cole is so good, so good. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, baby, you know. And honestly, this is the first time I've actually understood the Adam Cole hype. His skill and athleticism, actually, in this match, had me, you know, kind of buy in that he could win, you know. Internet rumors notwithstanding, because that did happen, like, and even AEW poked fun at it that the winner to this match had already been leaked. So some people who follow the interwebs a whole lot and wrestling Twitter and all that knew that Keith Lee was already going to win. And for matches like this, I try really hard to avoid social media so that I can just sit back and enjoy, but I couldn't do it this week. But realistically, like I said earlier, this match stole the show. These two guys are so good. Like I said for Adam Cole, I'm a believer in Adam Cole now. And Keith Lee is just, he's Keith Lee, the Indomitable One, or whatever his actual nickname is. I should have written it down. Limitless One. Yeah, that would be it. And the combination works. You get smaller guy who can work and sell against bigger guy who can work and move around and everything. And it just works. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details about this match because you should absolutely go watch it. I don't score a whole lot of matches. I'm not like, this was a A+, or this was a B-, or this is a 5 out of 10. But I will tell you, this was a 10 out of 10. This is one that you should go watch right now, regardless of what company you're a fan of. It was that good. And Keith Lee wins to become the first double champ in NXT history. And given the people that have held the belts, that's pretty darn prestigious. Yeah, you cannot compliment that match enough. It was just ridiculously good. And overall, it was just a great 2 shows worth of programming. NXT continues to prove to me why it's WWE's A show, regardless of what the company thinks. Like, Raw feels to me more like their big guy show. Like, you got Drew McIntyre and Brock whenever he decides to show up. And Bobby Lashley, like the old-fashioned Hogan-Andre type matchups that you get on Raw. SmackDown is their work rate show. You know, AJ Styles, Cesaro, Nakamura, all those guys that can just go in the ring and tell a good Daniel Bryan. They can just tell really good stories in the ring. And NXT seems to be the show that puts it all together the best. You have the guys who can work, you have the big guys who can work, you have good storytelling told. I mean, just overall, they seem to be the best company, best part of the WWE. Either way. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Great American Bash, and that's right. Hope you had a happy 4th, because we're too cool for British rule. That's right. America, baby. Thank you guys. God bless. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe, leave us a comment, maybe even share it. You know, tell a friend that there's some idiot here that told you that he finally understood Adam Cole. What?